Hey guys, welcome to another YouTube video, and well, it is time. It is time to preview probably the most anticipated Ashes series since the last Ashes series probably. So yeah. So of course that time of year again where time again where the Poms and us Aussies come together and watch our teams beat each other. So yeah, and also to get their hands on this, and that's right. Yes, yes. That's right. If there's any Poms watching this, I'm sorry, this is the closest they're going to get to the urn. I think I might have. If we look, if you're watching this after the Sydney Test and England won the series, yeah, you can. I'll allow middle fingers in the comments from Pommy. So I will accept. I'll accept that and just go yeah. Then yeah. So yeah. But anyways, so in this video I'll be previewing the entire series, and in the next video I'll be previewing the first test in Perth. So yeah. So let's get into it. So let's firstly start with the opposition for us Aussies. Here in Australia, it is England. Of course, led by their captain Ben Stokes, obviously, and coached by Brendan McCullum, obviously. With that, so I'll run you through the squad now. Run you through the full squad that is in. So Ben Stokes obviously captain, with vice captain being Harry Brook, who's been in good form in the white ball with the white ball, I should say, as of late. But in terms of the red ball, will that convert? We don't know. Zach Crawley, Ben Duckett, I assume they will be the two openers all series. Joe Root, Ollie Pope, Jamie Smith, Jacob Bethel, who played for the Melbourne Renegades last season. We won't be because he's going to be playing for England. Will Jacks, Bryden Cass, Jofra Archer, I cannot wait to see him bowl on Australian soil. We've seen him in the past playing the Big Bash here in Australia. Now finally we get to see him in English colours here in Australia in the Ashes. I can't wait to see how he goes there. Gus Atkinson, Shoaib Bashir, Matthew Potts, Josh Tongue, and Mark Wood are the ones that are in the squad. And out of that squad, only 5 players have had experience playing in the Ashes in Australia, which are called Stokes, Crawley, Root, Pope, I should say, and Mark Wood. The rest have not played a Ashes test in Australia before. So yeah. So firstly, and looking at their form and their form not only away from home but overall, it's the thing is, if we look at the overall in terms of matches played, test matches played for them, and also series, it's pretty positive if you think about it. Here, they've won 12 matches. In terms of all test matches, they played in 23 test matches since the 2023 Ashes series. they've won 12 games and drawn one, which was obviously in one of the matches in the series recently, in their summer against India, but they've had 10 losses. You know, they had series losses to India in India, Pakistan in Pakistan. I think the only series win that they've had away from home since the last Ashes series was in New Zealand, and if I can remember that it was a weakened New Zealand side for all that series anyway. I think, barring a couple like Southey and. I don't think Williamson played in that series. I don't think, or maybe he did, but only just a match or two. He wasn't in that all series, so it was pretty depleted. While it was basically a full strength England side that won that series against New Zealand. Other than that, they, as I said, they lost. They got hammered in India, and they got surprised, and they got shell shocked by Pakistan in Pakistan. So their form away from home, it's the reason why their overall form is so good. Is because their form at home. That is the main reason why. That's the main reason why they're above 100%, above 50% win rate since the 2023 Ashes in Test matches, and the same true in Test series as well. That's the reason why for that. So yeah. Now the big question that is on everyone's mind is, will BAZBALL work in Australia? Will it work? I just don't know. A lot of these guys, I said a lot of almost all of this squad hasn't had any experience. I said in Ashes cricket in Australia, but they have had experience in the Big Bash, like Harry Brook, he's played in the Big Bash. Ben Duckett's played in the Big Bash before. I said Jacob Bethel last season, he played for the Melbourne Renegades. Of course, Jofra Archer, self-explanatory. I don't know if there's any others in the squad that have played in the Big Bash. So yeah, and potentially for someone like Jamie Smith or Shoaib Bashir, who this might be a chance to show the Australian public what they can do, and then when it comes to the next Big Bash season, if they're free, they might go in the draft, they might get picked up, and they basically play Big Bash cricket next season, because of their form this summer in the Ashes series. So there might be opportunities there for them there as well. But back to my point. So BAZBALL, the key for its success is a flat pitch, and I highly doubt there's that the pitch curators at Optus Stadium, Adelaide Oval, the Gabba, the MCG, and the SCG are gonna do that. I've always said this. I think for me, I thought maybe the Cricket Australia would put all the pitch curators in for a meeting and say you can do this pitch, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this pitch, but don't do this because it's the only way. Because if there's a flat pitch anywhere, then that's gonna favour. That's gonna favour. You know, that's gonna go favour into the hands of England with the BAZBALL tactics. So yeah, and so from what I've heard, from what I've seen as well, that people are saying, oh, there could be more, you know, bouncy, fast-paced, bouncy pitches, which would suit us most definitely. But if England do, I said this. The reason why England lost the series in 2023 was they didn't play Mark Wood for all 5 Test matches. If they played him in all 5 matches, I'm sure of you, England would have won that series in 23, most definitely. So he needs to play 5 Test matches. He needs to, because otherwise. Because otherwise there won't be that express fast bowling partner that there won't be one that Jofra Archer needs, and both of them can operate easily up 150 clicks plus easily. Well. Not so much Archer because of all the back injuries. So yeah, I can't wait to see how he goes on Australian soil in Test matches. We've seen him in 2019 with the battles of Steve Smith at Lords, especially. We all know that. Now finally they meet again. This time on Australian soil. So yeah. So will BAZBALL work? I don't. As I said, it's jury's is still out, but it was highly publicized about when they went to India early last year. All the talk was, oh, would BAZBALL work in India? Oh, would it work? Would it work here? Oh, would it work? Could it work on Indian soil? Well, India said, bitch shut the fuck up, and we'll beat us, and they did 4-1. So that could happen as well, but we don't know yet. But as I said, still jury's out on that one. Can't wait to see what happens there if. I'm interested to see who wins the toss in the first Test match. To be quite honest, there, because obviously I've seen pictures of the pitch that they're going to be using for the first Test in Perth, and it's pretty interesting. I'll explain that a little bit more in the next video when I preview the first Test match. So speaking of Test matches. So let's run you through all 5 of the Test matches. So the first Test obviously starts tomorrow. As I'm recording this, at Optus Stadium for the West Ashes Test, November 21 to 25. Then we have the day-night Test match at the Gabba this year, which is on December 4 to 8. Then the Adelaide Test match on December 17 to 21. Then the traditional Boxing Day Test match, of course, on December 26 to 30. And then finally the annual New Year's Eve Test, the Pink Test, Jane McGrath Day, so on and so forth. That would be on January 4 to 8. To see, and we'll see who lifts the little urn. So yeah, so let's run through the Australia now. Run through the Australian. Hang on, here it is. Since now we're going to talk about the Australians, might as well put this on, shall we? hooks up this. So might as well have this on, shall we? So I've put Pat Cummins here as captain because yes, he's out injured for the first test match, but we don't know, and it's still 50-50 for the second test, but eventually he will return at some point in the series, so I've got him here as captain. And then Steve Smith, he's vice captain, but he'll be captain for at least the first test, maybe the second test. We don't know about that. There are a lot. They have. It was pointed out as well. They have a lot of experienced players. I mean, there's only one player, which is Cam Green, that is under the age of 30. The others are over the age of 30, which is ridiculous amount of experience. I mean, you got and then as I said earlier about as we said earlier about the amount of lack of experience of Ashes Test cricket here in Australia from England, the experience from Australia is sublime. I mean, in this series, it's basically switched around where we have 5 players that have yet to make their Ashes debuts. And these are Jake Weatherald, Josh Inglis, Bo Webster, Sean Abbott, who of course is injured, and Brendan Doggett. And then on the contrary to England's form after the 2023 Ashes, barring the World Test Championship defeat to South Africa, I think their form's been great. Yeah, and it's been mixed as well. They've versed recently, of course, the West Indies. We all know how. I still can't believe how we bowled the West Indies out for 29. I still don't know how we did that. But anyways, then we ended up beating India in one of the great test series in Australia we've ever seen. Just drama, tension, and that sort of stuff. So yeah. So we got would experience obviously kind of inexperience. Yes, I think so. We all can't bet against Australia because with Cummins out and he's scheduled to come in, that side's only going to get better. It will only get better with Cummins coming in, than out, to be quite honest. But yeah. So I think for me, it's the conclusion. Yeah. As I said, so to finish this up, obviously, experience and inexperience. I think you have to back the experience every now and again. Yes, we're getting taking the piss out of by a lot of England pundits for basically being your dad's army and that sort of shit. We're more seasoned and more experienced than you guys are. So quite obviously, fired the first shot there. So yeah. And it's going to be a lot, and of course the key is going to be obviously the big talking point. Also, another talking point will be how good will our batting lineup be. Of course, we all know Marnus has gone back to pretty good form for the last few months at domestic level through the One Day Cup and Sheffield Shield for Queensland. Steve Smith, how well is he going to go? Travis Head as well. A lot of question marks about Usman Khawaja. Is this going to be his final? It's going to be his final Ashes series. We don't, or even is this his last Test series? We don't know. Don't know all that. That's a bit of a question mark. But I think for me, it's I think for me it's going to be. I think for me Australia are just too strong there. So if I take this cap off, so finally we get to the predictions here. So, man of the series. So I've gone with both Australia and for England. For England, I've gone with Jofra Archer, and I think for me that if all 5 Test matches are going to have fast-paced, bouncy pitches, I think that will suit him. Suit him and Mark Wood, but especially suit Jofra. And I think that he'll be a falling Australian side like Bumrah did for India against us. So definitely one to watch there. For Australia, I think I don't know why. I just feel like it's going to be the summer of Marnus. I think his form in the domestic level is an appetizer. I think and the Ashes, these Ashes performances are going to be the main course. I just don't know why, but I feel like this is going to be the summer of Marnus again. I just have this feeling for me that's going to be the case. Series results. So who do I think will bring these? I think for me, it's them. I think the Aussies are just going to be too good. I've predicted 3-0. I thought about 4-0 and actually thought about 5-0, but I think 3-0 because I think there's going to be like a Test match or two that's going to get washed out, which is normal. But I think a couple of them are going to get washed out, and going to be draws on there. But for me, I think the experience of the Aussies is going to be too good. It's going to be the last time that some of these guys like Stark, Hazelwood, Cummins, Smith, Khawaja, all these guys are going to be playing in the Ashes. I would assume. I don't think I don't think all of them are going to be there by the time the 2027 Ashes roll around. I think, in my opinion. So I think, excuse me, I think I've written here 3-0, but 4-0 or 5-0 is not out of the question for me. Bold prediction, and this one I've had on my mind as a prediction all the way since the talking of this series started. And that is, this could be the last series for England under Brendan McCullum. Now, look at their form. Their form, yes, they've had more wins than losses over the last 18 months or so. Over 18 months, but there was some series, especially over in England, that should have won. Like you could argue that. Look at what the Pakistan series last year. They won there the last time they were there in 2022, and Pakistan had come off of losing a series for the first time against Bangladesh of all teams. So surely England players would have licked their chops, going, "Oh, we can't wait to verse them." They lose that series 2-1. The India series. This was the prime example. They should have won that series. They should have won it. They should have won that series. With 10 runs to win in that last test match, they with two wickets in hand or so, they were gone. They had it won. India were gone, and somehow the great man that day is Mohammad Siraj rescued them from a series defeat. So some might argue with that, and there's been history for England, for the ECB, of sacking test coaches after embarrassing Ashes performances in Australia. Like, for example, 13-14, they were under Andy Flower. They lost that series 5-0 straight after that. After they got back from that tour, he was sacked. And the recent example, 21-22, when they're under Silverwood, for embarrassing defeats, and that was and from afterwards, the writing was on the wall in terms of his sacking, and the series loss in the West Indies was the final straw, and he was sacked. But the seed was planted in that series down here when they lost 4-0. So it's hard to argue, to be honest. Is it going to happen to McCullum? Is it going to happen again? Because England cannot afford to leave these shores at the end of this tour with duck eggs to their name. They can't afford that. And that's why I laugh. I was laughing when to be honest, when people were saying that England are going to win 5-0. I'm like, piss off. Come on. You serious? You guys haven't beaten us here in Australia for 13 years. And yet you're going to say we're going to bet that you guys are going to beat us 5-0? Not a chance. Not a damn chance. Yes, winning the series, but not 5-0. Come on. So yeah. I've had that for a long while. England cannot afford. Mark my words. If they get beaten 3, 4, or 5-0, McCullum's gone. Straight up, McCullum will be gone because you're gonna say that their form since the 23 Ashes series has been mediocre. Yes, yes, they've performed well, decently again. But as I said, they lost against India in India. They lost against Pakistan in Pakistan. Yes, they won the series against New Zealand, but it was a depleted side, for God's sake. So, all in all, they have and they've had test matches and a one-off test match against Zimbabwe. How's that going to improve your forward line going to these Ashes series? So yeah. So as I said, I've put 3-0, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's 4-0 or 5-0 Australia. I said this. I said this at the very beginning of this talk between the two sides. It's either going to be 3-2 England or 5-0 Australia. Yeah, yes, I've gone half and gone 3-0, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's ever going to be the case, because yeah. So yeah, but yeah, so that is my bold prediction, and if that becomes right, please thumbs up this video just for that reason. If you just thumbs it up, please. But yeah, so that's just about it really for this video. You can tell I'm pumped up for this Ashes series. I cannot wait for it. There's been talk after talk after talk after talk after talk for months now, and finally that talk is put to rest, and finally we get to see some cricket finally. So yeah, so like this video, share this to anybody who is an Australian fan, or you know what, or an England cricket fan. Comment down below what are your predictions on this series? Do you think it's and your scoreline too? Do you agree with me in saying it's gonna be 3-0 Australia? You could say 5-0 Australia, 4-0 Australia, 3-1 England, 4-1 England, 3-2 England. You know, but you know if you believe in what the English pundits say, 5-0 England. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. And one last thing, somewhere down there, click on the big red button which is labeled subscribe. It really does help me out quite a bit, considering now we're almost in the final month of 2025, and entering 2026. So yeah. So until next time, guys. I'll see you guys later. We're gonna be keeping these. This is not